phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
Over the past few months, I have made college football recruiting videos, mainly talking about the 2023 recruiting class and kind of giving my praises about it and talking about players that you should know. I've made a couple videos about that already, and I'll leave the videos I've made in the past down in the description below for every one of y'all to watch and see players you may not know about or see players you want to know more about in the 2023 class. In today's video, I'm going to be continuing that series and talking about more players in the 2023 recruiting class that you need to know because they seem to be ballers on not only the high school level, but in my opinion, they're going to take over the college level as well. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video plays for one of the best teams in the state of Texas in Denton Guyer, and that's wide receiver Landon Sides. Landon is a part of a great team at Denton Guyer that's currently 8-0, and he's their go-to threat through the air with QB1 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold. Landon Sides, in 7 games played, has 26 receptions, 595 receiving yards, averaging 23 yards per reception, and 8 total touchdowns through the air. He leads Denton Guyer in receiving. He's someone who's been very consistent in his play his entire time in the Denton Guyer program and has been a key part to that offense that is paired with 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold. Sides is currently unranked in the 2023 recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports Composite rankings and holds a few offers from Army, Colorado School of the Mines, and University of Incarnate Word. He is currently committed to University of Incarnate Word. In my opinion, I feel like he's a very under-the-radar player. He puts up a lot of great numbers against great competition in the state of Texas on a top team in a very good offensive system with a great quarterback at the helm. Of course, there's highly touted players on Denton Guyer such as Jackson Arnold, of course, Ryan Yates, Peyton Bones, and even Eli Bowens. But Landon Sides is a player on that team that deserves a lot more credit on a national scale. Moving on to the next player, it is running back from American Heritage and current Ohio State Buckeye commit Mark Fletcher. According to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings, Mark Fletcher ranks as a 4-star, number 258 player in the nation, and the number 15 running back in the 2023 recruiting class. Mark Fletcher is currently having his best season of high school football at American Heritage in 2022 as a senior. As in 9 games played, he has 1,232 rushing yards, averaging over 8 yards a carry, and a total of 12 rushing touchdowns. In the 3 years prior, he was also a very consistent and good running back, as in those 3 years combined before his senior campaign he's currently in right now, he rushed for over 2,500 yards and accounted for a total of 26 rushing touchdowns. Fletcher is one of my favorite running backs in this 2023 recruiting class. He's someone that is big, standing in at 6'1", 225 pounds, and it's a good 225 as well. And of course, once he gets to college, he could add a few more pounds. He is more of a power running back than he is of a speed running back, as he's someone that does play very physical and is someone that goes through the lanes very hard and is very hard to bring down as well. Some of the concerns with this game that people have is long speed and catching out of the backfield, as for the most part of his high school football career, he really hasn't been the biggest factor in the receiving game. But if that gets worked on at the next level, he could be a very good and reliable back at Ohio State. Looking at this next player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video, in my opinion, he's one of the more underrated linebackers in the nation, and it's current SMU commit linebacker from Katy Paytow, Alex Kilgore. He is one of the leaders and captains of the Katy Paytow football team and one of the best players on the defensive side of the ball, alongside with 5-star defensive lineman David Hicks. In his senior campaign up to this point, he's played in 6 games, has racked up a total of 36 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Some of the best qualities about Alex Kilgore as a linebacker is that he has a high IQ. He plays the game the right way, he brings tenacity, he's quick, and more importantly, he is consistent. You can't teach consistency, and being consistent is one of the best things you can have as a football player, especially as a linebacker. If you want to talk about some consistency, as a junior in 2021, Alex Kilgore had 106 total tackles, 23 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 interception. He was even making big strides and impacts as a sophomore in 2020, racking up 94 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and 3 fumble recoveries. Overall, he's a player that has a high football IQ, and more importantly, is a very consistent linebacker. Definitely keep an eye out on the SMU commit down the road. This next player is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the nation. Well, not only that, one of the best defensive linemen in the nation in general, and it's Osceola defensive lineman John Walker. Walker is a 4-star recruit, ranked as the number 102 player in the nation, and number 13 defensive lineman according to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. He's currently committed to UCF. In his senior campaign up to this point, he's having a good season, as in 7 games played, he has 45 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and a total of 7 sacks. As an interior D lineman, he has great size, standing in at 6'3" and 310 pounds, and he's been proven to be a consistent and ferocious player on a defensive line over his high school career. As a junior in 2021, 77 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, and 13 sacks. In 2020, 75 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, and 15 sacks. There's no wonder why John Walker had 35 offers and could have gone anywhere in the country, and he's deciding to go to UCF, where there's a great chance where he's going to be an immediate impact player and make his name known day one in the Big 12. A lot of analysts out there for recruiting think Walker has a very high ceiling as a player, some even thinking he's going to be a very high round draft pick in a future NFL draft whenever he is eligible to go, or whenever he does decide to go to the NFL draft. He's going to have a very high upside about him. He stands in at 6'3", 310 pounds, and he has a frame that he can add some more weight to. And overall, despite being a big body, he has a lot of athleticism and can play in multiple defensive sets. Moving on to this next player. He is one of the most under-the-radar athletes in the nation for the 2023 recruiting class, and that is Oklahoma commit from McAlester, Eric McCarty. McCarty ranks as a 3-star, number 627 player in the nation, the number 51 athlete, and the number 8 player in the state of Oklahoma. McCarty is a player that honestly could play both ways in college on either side of the ball, but at Oklahoma, he shapes to be more of a safety. He's someone that's been very consistent on both sides of the ball, and in honest opinion, is probably a very underrated player, not only on a national scale, but on the scale of Oklahoma rankings when it comes down to rivals in 24/7 sports. As McCarty is a player that is constantly making plays, and is honestly always seems to be the best player on the field in any game that he plays in. Right now, in his 2022 senior campaign, in 8 games played, when talking about the offense side of things, he's currently rushing for 573 rushing yards, averaging 7 yards per carry, and has 10 total rushing touchdowns. Through the air, he has 4 receiving touchdowns and 232 receiving yards, averaging about 29 yards a game through the air. And on the defensive side of the ball this season, he has a total of 59 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 1 fumble recovery. He's been a great player on both sides of the ball throughout his entire career, as in total yards as a junior he had over 2,000 yards, and in touchdowns for that year, he was pretty much unstoppable, as he had a total of 38 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown to have an all-purpose of 39 total touchdowns as a junior. I think he has some very high upside on the collegiate level, and who knows, he could potentially be an immediate impact player for the Sooners very early on in his career, as he has a good frame and could put on some more weight, and honestly already has a good frame to play immediately, standing in at 6'2", and about 180 to 190 pounds right now, according to recruiting profiles. He's someone that is very underrated in my opinion, as he's constantly flying around the ball, plays with some great IQ and great consistency, and is a name that you need to keep an eye out for very, very soon. The last player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video is Oklahoma State quarterback commit from Gretna High School in Gretna, Nebraska, Zane Flores. He currently ranks in as a 3-star recruit, number 450 player in the nation, and the number 24 quarterback in this class. In my opinion, I think he's a very good quarterback. And I've said a lot on this channel, I believe this 2023 quarterback class is absolutely stacked for talent, all the way from 5 stars to unranked players. In my opinion, I think it's actually insane. Also, I believe Zane Flores will be a 4-star quarterback when it's all said and done. Also, if it was other quarterback classes, he would already be a 4-star quarterback in my opinion by now. But let's get back to the point about Zane Flores. Zane Flores is a quarterback that has a good arm, good accuracy, is a good leader, and has been a consistent quarterback for one of the best teams and best programs in the state of Nebraska. In his current senior campaign for the 2022 high school season, he has completed 66% of his passes, has thrown for 2,203 yards, 26 touchdowns, compared to only 3 interceptions, and Gretna is currently 9-0. In his career up to this point on the high school level, he has thrown for over 8,000 yards, has completed 67% of his passes, 77 touchdowns compared to only 20 interceptions, while accounting for a total of 25 rushing touchdowns over the span of his career, which, to be noted, isn't done yet as he's still in his senior season. Well guys, if you made it this far in the video, drop something down in the comment section below of what 2023 recruits do you think everyone needs to know about. Also, before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Be Kelly out.